Hello and welcome to the first lesson of the first module of this Investment Banking Networking Toolkit course. We're going to give you a quick overview of the course in this lesson, describe the main strategies that we're going to teach you, and give a bit of an explanation about what you should focus on and when you should do it. So in this course, we will focus on three main networking strategies: informational interviews, cold emails, and cold calls. And we're going to start off in this module with an overview of each of these, including the main steps in the process, an idea of the timeline that you'll need to follow, and also an idea of the numbers. In other words, how many people will you need to look up on LinkedIn? How many emails will you need to send? How many phone conversations will you need to conduct? And so on and so forth in order to win a reasonable number of interviews that eventually lead into job offers. Now, the purpose of this course is to help you win investment banking, private equity, and hedge fund interviews, but these strategies can also work for other professional services fields such as Big Four firms, real estate, asset management, wealth management, and so on. I would say this course is less relevant for something like tech roles, so working at the big technology companies, for example, in software development or project management roles. The strategies here are not going to work as well in that field because recruiting is somewhat different and networking isn't quite as important to the same extent because of how the candidate pool there differs from what you see in the finance and consulting and related industries. We define networking as the process of finding, contacting, and speaking with investment banking or other finance professionals to build relationships, gain knowledge, and eventually win interviews and job offers via those relationships. The best real-world analogy for networking is weight training at the gym. You're going to have to repeat the same actions, complete the same types of reps on similar exercises over and over again, and there is an element of repetition and grind. You're going to have to stick with it for the long term, use the proper form, and gradually work up over time to heavier and heavier weights if you want to see results. And networking is really just like that. It's not complicated, it's not rocket science, you don't need to be a genius to do it. You just need to spend a good amount of time doing the same types of tasks over and over again until you get results and until you improve your networking and interview abilities to the level where you can get quick results from incremental effort. So let's start with the first main strategy here, informational interviews. Then we'll go into cold emails and then go into cold calls. With informational interviews, the idea is that you find alumni or connections on LinkedIn, you look up their email addresses, you then email them to request a time to speak, you speak with them on the phone or via video, then you might meet in person or maybe do another call, and then you eventually ask for their help in the recruiting and interview process at their firm. Informational interviews work best for undergrads and MBA students who are starting far in advance, ideally 6 to 12 months before recruiting begins, though sometimes you can get away with starting more like 2, 3, or 4 months before recruiting begins and also get results there. They also work for anyone working full-time who wants to move into investment banking or other fields as a lateral hire. Because if you don't use networking and informational interviews, your main other option at this stage is an MBA, which is very expensive and time-consuming. Informational interviews tend to be best if you're aiming for internship or job offers at larger firms, such as middle market banks, elite boutique banks, and then the bulge bracket investment banks. If you are applying to something like a local boutique bank with 5 or 10 people at it in your area, you could set up informational interviews, but honestly, at that level, you might as well just ask them directly about internships or off-cycle or summer internships or something like that, and you'll get results that are probably about the same. So keep this in mind when deciding which strategy to